Hello, everybody. So good morning, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'll just wait for a few minutes for everybody to come in. So you'll have to bear with me. I don't often do like chats. Hello, everybody. So you have to wait for me. I say you have to bear with me a few minutes. This is the first time I've actually done an online panel. I usually prefer like talking to people in the middle of the room. So we'll just wait for a few more minutes, just for a couple of minutes, just while everybody gets in who wants to come in. That's fine. Brilliant. So if you don't know, my name is Sarah. I am one of the events assistants for UK PonyCon. I'm also one of the committee members as well. I do a lot of volunteering work for in general, and also I do create original characters. And this was a very popular subject and a very popular panel last year. So when I was invited to do it again, it was fantastic. I really do, I really want to say thank you to Bexy and all of the team for inviting me back. So we're going to run through some of the points that we went through last year. So it's more of an overview of those points, and then we'll do a question and answer session at the end. You can ask me any questions about how to create an OC, how, what the basics will be, but this is going to be an overview of the basics. So I've been creating, so a little bit of background, I've been creating OCs for about 20 years. I do various different genres, not just My Little Pony. I do Mighty Ducks. I've started to get into, strangely enough, Thomas the Tank Engine. Don't ask me why. But each one is, as I say, I absolutely love it. And I love creating new characters and new features. So let's go into it. So what are OCs? So OC basically stands for original character. Now, original character, it can be any form of character at all. It can be a character in your favorite fandom. It could be a character that you create just purely for aesthetic purposes. So if you're just wanting to draw a character, if you just want to create a character for a friend, you want to create something original for a friend, whether you support the Phantoms. Why Thomas the Tank Engine? Because it's different. It's just a different sort of fandom. Nobody really explores it, but I love it. So it's just another way you can support the fandom. So there's lots of different ways you can create an original character. These are just a few of the original characters that my friends and I have created. So as you can see, the character in the top corner, so this character here, I don't think you'd be able to see that, but the character with the duck and the little girl, that is my character, that is my OC, that is Carla. Some of the others I've created, either I've taken their characters and created like a ponified version of that character. So the character down in the bottom left is a ponified version of that character. So you can even reinvent. So characters are basically what you make of it. What basically character OCs are what you make of them. And they could be, as I say, literally anything, whether you support the fandom or whether you just want to make something that just looks pretty cool. Now, I get this all the time, and this really does irk me, where many people are put off by making original characters. To make a go, see, you must be a good artist. And I see this a lot, this does put a lot of people off. And it does annoy me, because you don't have to be a good artist to create an original character. I mean, I'm lucky. I do create my own art. The picture you saw at the beginning was one of my own pictures, but you don't have to have this sort of drawing. And I'm going to prove that to you today. So I'm going to introduce you to two characters, and essentially I'm going to show you how really say art isn't really a factor when it comes into making an OC. So we're going to introduce you to the first character, called Mr. Stick. I like Mr. Stick. So Mr. Stick has a really, as you can see, it's not really the best drawing in the world. Basically, if you wanted to use Mr. Stick's backstory, you certainly can. He came from Canterlot. He moved to Philadelphia 15 years ago. He had a, his mum and dad was in the pencil business. Hello, Mr. Stick. His mum and dad were in the pencil business, and he took over the pencil business 3 years ago. And now he has expanded that empire into, he's moved shops into Ponyville, Clydesdale, and also back into Canterlot, his hometown. He was very, very happy in what he does, although he doesn't like paper. For some reason, he hates paper. He can't stand it. There's something about it he absolutely hates. He's also terrified of strawberries for some reason. Basically, with strawberries, he hates the colour, and he does need bread. They did bread. Yes. So Mr. Stick is a very, very happy. He's normally a very happy pony. He likes to express his happiness into the world. I love that. Everybody's putting bread. Mr. Cutie Mark. The cutie mark of Mr. Stick is the symbol Mr. Stick. That is his cutie mark. So he has a meta cutie mark, and unless it is Mr. Stick. So already you know a lot about him. You know where he comes from. You know what he looks like. You know that he's got this Mr. Stick cutie mark. You've got then information then you can actually go and use. So the art itself doesn't really tell you a lot, but the story tells you a lot, where he comes from, who he is, how he came to be in the position he is, what business he does. So already you've got that wealth of information in that one character. Yes, we know he absolutely hates strawberries. I personally love them. I don't know why he hates them. But we all have our loves and our hates. So Mr. Stick, brilliant, brilliant guy. Then we're on to Super Vizzle Rainbow Sparkle. Yeah. So she's there. She's okay. She's a pony. Well, she's an alicorn. And yeah. So straight away, she looks nice. And whoever did the artwork, incredible, lovely. But there's nothing really there. I'm not giving you any information about her. So you don't know where she comes from. You don't know who she is. You don't know really anything about her. She just looks pretty. So, well, as I say, this is an amazing... Mr. Stick is my spirit animal. I love that. So while this is an amazing character, and it is... yeah, everybody prefers Mr. Stick because as well as she looks great, and she does look amazing, but there's nothing about her. And I'm sorry, yes, I know I used an alicorn. So which one would you use? If you were writing a fan fiction or doing, if you're writing a fan fiction, or if you were doing any form of critique or artwork or anything else, who would you use? Would you use the basic artwork or the basic structure with a great backstory? Or would you use something that looks pretty, that you could pretty much copy, or, it's for a Mr. Stick fandom. Would you use something that would pretty much copy and not really know anything about it? I personally would go with Mr. Stick. I love Mr. Stick because he's just amazing. So there's a lot to go into making a backstory, and I think that this is where the OC comes in, is because it's the backstory. It doesn't matter about how they look. The looks come in second. So we'll have a look at the backstory. So I call them the ground rules because they ground down your character. They ground it to they ground down the character to make it a lot better. Who, what, where, when, where, why, how. Okay. And these 6 questions I apply to every OC. Yeah, we've got a religious cult for Mr. Stick. Guys, I'm trying to help. No, it's fine. Don't worry. I love Mr. Stick. You can have Mr. Stick. If you want to do a cult on Mr. Stick, you can do it. So who, what, where, when, why, how. So who are they? Okay. Who is this character? This could include their name. This could include physical attributes. So are they Pegasus? Are they unicorn, alicorn, griffin? Any of those could be who are they? Okay. So that's generally who is generally their name, parents, etc. What? So again, what is their name? What is their age? What do they do? You know, what are they? What makes them special? What is that thing? So if you have the what question, great. So who and what? They kind of tie in together, but who are they? What are they doing? Okay. I was just seeing all these questions about Mr. Stick. So where do they live? What do they do? Where do they work? Where do they go to school? Where do they come from? Where have they come from? They may not have come from the same city or town that you may be, you know, they may be doing your story in. So where is quite an important one, because if you've got, let's say, an alicorn, or let's say, for example, a Pegasus, you wouldn't want them coming from Sequestria. So they could move to Sequestria, but you wouldn't want them coming from Sequestria, because that doesn't make any sense. So the where question is quite important. Why? Now, sorry, when? When did they live? When are they available? That sounds a bit weird. When are they available? But some ponies are not, or some characters may not be available at all times. So, for example, you may have a very young character that may be at school, or you maybe have a very old character or an older character that may be doing other jobs in the community. We simply don't know. When did they live? So did they live in the past, the present, or the future? Yeah. So it's a very important question, is when. And the when question you can sort of apply. It makes the fan fiction, it makes the fiction, and it makes the timeline really, really cool. Okay, well, yep, that's cool. So the next one is why. Now, the why is very difficult. Why do they exist? So why are you wanting to create that character? Why do you want to use that character? You know, why do they do what they do? So there has to be a rhyme and a reason. So, for example, you wouldn't have a pony that did, let's say, an earth pony that did the work of a Pegasus, because obviously that couldn't happen. And why are they there? So why does it, what reason are they there to be, you know, what reason are they to be in that town or that place that makes them there? So with Mr. Stick, he moved for his business. So that's why he was there. And then finally, there's the how. How did they come to do what they do? So Mr. Stick had a family business. How did they came to be? So with certain, let's say we go back to, I'm going to use Thomas the Tank Engine as an example. My favorite character is Gordon. And how did he come to be? He was created in Doncaster. He was created in the works in Doncaster. So yeah, I'm going to say we start with Mr. Stick. So it answers that how question, which is amazing. Gordon is not a Chad, he's amazing. he's our boy. Kids, we hated Gordon. Adults, we love him. So yeah, Gordon is my boy. And how did they come to be the place where they are? So, you know, how did they get there? So did they go on this incredible journey, or did they just move with their parents? This can be a whole plethora of things. But we're going to focus on four main attributes, and these four here. So physical types, what is their age, when did they live, and where did they live? So these four will make your character stand out. So these will be the standout parts, okay? Because a lot of people don't explore these bits. Yeah, everybody's got Thomas the Tank Engine head there. I like it. So not many people explored it, because especially in the PonyCon fandom, because they always go with ponies. But we'll go into that. So this is to create a standout character. When did they live? Where did they live? What is their age and their physical types? So these will elevate your character from a good character to a standout. And I'm going to explain. So when did they live? Now, not many people explore when they lived. Now that the My Little Pony series, the Friendship is Magic, has finished, it does give you plenty of opportunities to look into this, because you already know a basic background. You know how basically Equestria was made from the canon story. You've got then the modern day, which is when 99% of most OCs are established. It ties in with the main six, ties in with most of the story, but not many people also focus on the future. Now, because of the way that My Little Pony finished, it finished with Princess Twilight being on the throne, you have got a full place to explore. So you could have it in the present. You could go right in the past. Now, the past is a little bit more difficult, because with the past, you've got to try and tie it in with the present. So there are certain elements that you cannot change. For example, you can't change that Celestia wasn't there. You can't change that Granny Smith helped create Pony Voo through Zap Apple Jam. Those are sort of staple elements within the canon that you simply can't change. But there's nothing to stop you going maybe back further, so further before Equestria was made. And yeah, and going back and creating maybe an element there. So that's something that maybe to consider when creating your original character. You know, you might be able to say, okay, we don't know how Celestia came to be a princess. Maybe I could create a member of the royal court, so that maybe to help Celestia and Starswell, because we know that Starswell was a mentor to Princess Celestia and Luna, but maybe go pre-war and go before that and say, actually, what if I train Starswell? That's an option. So there's plenty of options there. Then you've got, as I say, you're going right up to just before pre-Equestria days, and then you've got the future. Now, the future's pretty cool, because you already know the past, you already know the history. So now you can go forward and go into the future and say, okay, the world's my oyster. We know now, because Friendship is Magic is ended, there's nothing else to change. There's nothing that they're going to add to that story. So now I can add that to my story, and my OC can be tied in with the past, but also I can create my own future. And this is really exciting, because we don't know what would happen if Twilight ever left the throne. We don't know what's going to happen to Celestia and Luna. We know that they've gone to Silver Shoals, but that's about it. So you could create really good OCs to tie in with that timeline. So it is really, really exciting. And it sounds awful when you say that an end of a series is exciting, but when it's creating an original character, it is, because you've got that framework, you've got those episodes kind of like a book, and you can reference that book. You know that book isn't going to change, so you can then apply your character to that. So when is a really, really good way to make your character stand out and create this really cool, really amazing world. And again, a lot of people, 99% of most OCs are based in Ponyville. It makes sense. The main six are based in Ponyville. And, you know, most of the characters, most of the story are centered around Ponyville. But you get a few areas of Canterlot, you get a few areas of, Sequestria, you maybe a couple of episodes here and there, but it's mostly centered in Ponyville. If I took how many OCs lived in Ponyville, literally it would be Pony City, not Ponyville. So working out where they live, again, makes your character stand out, because you're going away from that crowd and going into somewhere really, really new and unexplored. So you could have a character that lives in Canterlot. Reference Mr. Stick. He lived in Canterlot, moved to Clydesdale. So you could have a character that really stood out from Canterlot. Maybe they are like Rarity. Maybe they work out in a dress shop, maybe in there. Or maybe they are moving. Maybe they're on the sea ship. You know, we simply don't know. You could create a massive thing from Canterlot. And Canterlot is technically the second favourite because obviously you got royalty there. The Pony Sisters are there, you know. But you can really make that work. Then these are some areas that actually I don't normally see OCs. Crystal Empire. The Crystal Empire is pretty cool because you've got this fantastic magical world that's barely been explored. And you've then got the frozen tundra around that world. You've got the Crystal Heart in the middle, a massive, massive, beautiful castle. And obviously the games were held there. So you could explore that area and flesh that area out with your original character. So I'm seeing everything is just going Mr. Stick. It is awesome. I love Mr. Stick. So you can flesh that out. I mean, you could even create maybe a crystal pony. The possibilities of the Crystal Empire in particular are endless. In fact, to be fair, why not go Las Pegasus? This was only featured once in an episode and it's been talked and talked and talked about. I think it's been maybe twice, once or twice. But what a cool place. I mean, you've got all sorts going on there. You've got masses and masses of things. It's just an incredible, incredible place to go. And you could go on the rides. You could have a look at the casinos. Yeah, it was featured twice. And it's so, so beautiful. I mean, just this backdrop alone is absolutely stunning. And it just wasn't explored. So you could flesh that out with your OC. You know it's not going to be featured again. So whatever you say can go. Really, really cool place. And I'm really upset that this wasn't explored. Sequestria. I mentioned it a couple of times. I loved the My Little Pony movie. Absolutely loved it. And the story was good, but I loved the artwork. This really captured me. And again, completely I think I've got another Mr. Stick. It's completely underrated. I absolutely love Sequestria. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And again, you could tie in your OC with that, make her a sea pony or make her a hippogriff, completely up to yourself what you want to do. I love that episode where it's the one with the sister and it's the one with the brother, and they've got a parent as a sea pony, and one parent's a sea pony, one parent's a hippogriff. You're exploring both worlds. I love that. I think that's an incredible way, and it's an incredible story as well. I really do love that episode. Fortunately, the name escapes me. In fact, you could choose literally anywhere. And I absolutely love the whole fact that they've expanded this world since the movie. So you could go beyond Equestria. You could go to, you could go to Klugetown. You could go to Mount Aris. You can go anywhere that you want to go. And because, again, it's not changing, you can even make up your own cities or towns. Yeah, Terramar. You can make up your own. And it doesn't have to stay in Equestria. You don't have to have an OC pony and My Little Pony to stay in Equestria. Tempest proved that. She stayed out of Equestria. I think she stayed with the Storm King, came back, and she rocked it. So really, really cool. Beautiful places. And of course, you can choose Nottingham. Or Trottingham, as I called it. Like I said, you can create your own. Now, the next one is kind of a complicated one. And again, this is something that Tempest rules. This is something that not many people explore. And that is, what is their age? Again, many people look at the Maze 6, early 20s, and they apply their OC to the characters. They're all in the let's say early to mid 20s. That's when their roughly demographic is. And those characters, again, it's good. It's not a wrong thing to have, but it's good. But there's so much more. So you could go teenager. I love writing I love writing, OCs in different ages because there's so different ways of doing it. So a teenager, they're moody, they're rebellious. I love them. I love teens. I think they're amazing. The fact that they know the world, they're completely indestructibles. And they feel that the world is completely indestructible. The world is their oyster. They're young, great. And then you've got the middle age. Middle age, I love. Again, it's just, they've got that sense of wisdom, but they've still got a little bit of bite about them. So I'm in my middle ages. I'm still a big kid. I'm absolutely big kid. And, I'm smart enough to know that I have to pay my bills, but I'm not smart enough to know that I should wear a helmet when I ride my scooter. Push scooter, not metal. Or you could go even younger. You can go kids or babies. Now this has to be done carefully because you're writing something it's a very common trap that when you write about a child or you write in the persona of a child, you tend to make them a bit overpowered. So, for example, you may put into their words, if you're writing, let's say, a fan fiction, for example, you might find that you might be, how can I put it? Their words are more intellectual than what they should be. So, for example, if you're writing about a child, you wouldn't put in about algebra math. Or about, I've got this, if you have got a situation, you wouldn't have a child say, I've got this amazing idea. I think we should do this, and it absolutely works. And none of the adults have thought about it. You have to be in the mindset of a child and ask, is this going to work? Is this going to be okay? I'm not sure. And a lot of the child questions is, I don't know what you mean. And if you look at a child, if you ask them, and many questions go, Mummy, Daddy, what is this? And a lot of OCs have to have that sort of mindset for it to really work. And then you go sort of like into like 9 or 10-year-olds. Again, not as childish as the 4 or 5-year-old little one. 9 or 10-year-old, they've got that element about them. They know where they stand. They're just starting to stand up to their parents and go, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to be my own person. And it's quite an exciting time for them. Or you could go elderly, and elderly is a lovely thing to do. Again, you've got to be careful because while they have this amazing wisdom and they are incredible to speak to, there are some physical attributes that they may not be able to do. So, for example, you wouldn't catch somebody who was in their mid-90s, an average person. If somebody's done it for years, then yes, they could do it. But if you wouldn't catch a 90s, somebody who's in their 90s trying to run a marathon unless they specifically trained for it. So it is very, very careful about what you have, about the ages. But you could apply age. And again, this is something that really would make your character stand out. And then finally, you've got physical types. I don't know why it's done that. Yeah, that's better. So a lot of people go for unicorn, Pegasus, Earth Pony. Matches the main 6. Now alicorn. Yes, okay, I've put alicorn in there. I'm sorry if I've triggered people. But this is, again, so underutilized that there are so many different types. I love the fact I've got a changeling. How cool is that? A changeling. You've got so much you can do with that changeling. Because you could keep it a changeling as it is, but actually, you could make that change into anything you want. Absolutely fine. Yeah, we need more yak OCs. Yaks are brilliant. Yeah, yaks are absolutely brilliant. I think I've caused a bit of a stir in the chat with the alicorn OC, but it's your OC. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. If you feel that alicorns are a bad thing, then fine. If you feel alicorns are a great thing, add them. Do it. But rather than just sticking to your main sort of like 4 types, have an explore. I'd love to do a dragon OC. How cool would that be? And, even you could even make your own. I've got a deer OC in there. They were never in the show. Why not? Absolutely, why not? you just have to be careful not to overpower, because if you've got, let's say, for example, you've got an Alucard OC. If you give them every single power in the world, you're going to make a Mary Sue. And I can see this sometimes in the chat. Mary Sues are, unless you're actually just drawing it, I wouldn't recommend a Mary Sue for anything else. Because I know that Maddie and Mary Sue are great, and her Mary Sue even does have a development and like some character to it, and that's through Maddie developing that character, and she does a fantastic job with Mary. But general Mary Sues, you can't. I think what the issue is the fact that they are so overpowered. They take over the story. So if you're playing, let's say, for example, a role-playing game like Tales of Equestria, and you insert a Mary Sue, straight away the fun of that game just is sucked out, because the Mary Sue can do it all. So you've got to be really, really careful. And yes, I've included Alucard in there because I think Alucards can be used correctly, but only if you use the basic backstory: who, what, where, why, how. And as long as you don't overpower your character, why not? Just why not? It should be fine. But just be very mindful of what you're using your character for. And if you are using your character for active role-playing games or active, fan fiction, it might be, it might not, you might find yourself actually getting some negative feedback from that, which is obviously not what you're wanting to do. Donut Steel is amazing. So I'm going to introduce you to my OC. Now, this OC it's not a My Little Pony OC. This is actually a Mighty Duck OC. And the reason I've included her is so you give an idea of what you can achieve by using the ground rules and using the rules that we've given you. And it shows effectively how you can apply those rules to make a character. Now, I don't know if anybody knows the Mighty Duck fandom. It's a small fandom. It's not big. It was based on the shows. Based on basically the shows from the movies. Now, the show itself only ran for 26 episodes. It only ran for one season, and it was filmed in 1997. So the artistry factor on these is not the best in the world, but it was a very interesting show. They are talking about possibly bringing it back. And this is Carla. Now, Carla's been sort of developed over the past 20 years. And most of the characters, that is so cool, Prince. Most of the characters are in their mid-20s to early 30s, okay? So by bringing a character in that's 5 years old, she's only 5, really stood out from most of the OCs that was already there. Now, in terms of the backstory that we gave her, that I gave her, she basically is a cheeky girl. She's quite cheeky. She tends to run around terrorizing the other members of the team. But quite often not, she sat quite happily with her mum by the computer. And she's fairly quiet. She doesn't really fuss. Obviously, she's too young to play on the main team. So she's already taken that background role with letting them the main characters, the canon characters, these people, the characters that people know and grown up with, take the stand, and her be in the background and slowly then introduce them to those characters. So you're not thrusting that character straight in front, because again, that can bring back some negative feedback. Is if you bring your character to the forefront, let your character be the standout character that she should be, and he or she should be absolutely stand out right in the front. And you can see it in the stories. Is the first thing you'll find is, my OC does this, my OC does that, my OC does, and then straight away at the bottom, you've got, oh yeah, the rest of this team are doing this. But if you do that, most of the fandom are not going to know who your character is. So she was introduced slowly in the background, and then she's slowly being developed into the main story. And I've as I say, I've worked very hard on her. She's, she's 5 years old. Her mum is her mum actually lives with her. Her dad sadly passed away in a car accident when she was 2 years old. She has great fun. She usually usually when the team are having a game, she usually likes to sit in the locker room, just filling up drinks, just doing basic bits and pieces. Like I said, she's very cheeky. She loves to play pranks. She loves to play jokes on her friends, especially on the teammates. She loves playing jokes on the team. And usually she'll find her either sitting, say, by the computer with her mum or running around with her water gun. Now, so straight away, you've got that extra story. She's not being thrust in. She's being gently introduced. And because when I did introduce her, the fandom was pretty accepting. So, oh, thank you. So it just gives you an idea of what you can do by applying the ground rules. You don't have to spend 20 years doing a character up and no scene. It's just something that I've worked on from the beginning. And when she first started, she had a completely different backstory. And because I've developed it and changed it, because I didn't like the way it worked, she's become this well-grounded character. So what I'm going to do now, normally I'd hand it over to yourselves, but because we are all in lockdown, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make some changes on here. I'm going to open the floor up to yourselves to ask some questions. Now, because of the way I have to do this, I'm going to see if I can do this on the iPad. You'll have to forgive me. I do apologize if I do go a little quiet. Unfortunately, I have to split back between the two. So, is there any questions? We've got about 15 minutes. So, is there any questions? Anything you want me to go over? Any questions you have for me? You can ask them either in the stage chat or the stage questions. I'll keep quiet. And I honestly hope that you got a lot out of this. Like I said, I'm used to talking to a group. My favorite OC has to be Carla. She was the original OC that I created, and she's sort of been with me right from the beginning. So yeah, she is one of my favorites. She is my favorite. Another one is an OC I created called Mary, who's quite new. I only created her specifically for one story in the Thomas the Tank Engine fandom. And basically I created her, and sadly in that story, I sadly made her pass away. So she was only created once, but she still had this grounded backstory that she had left the island and then came back. So yeah, so she was a lovely one, but a sad one as well. How edgy is too edgy? That's a difficult one, because how edgy is too edgy? It's up to yourself and what you want to apply it to. You can't, if you're applying it to a fan fiction, you would want it to be, you'd have to apply it to the story. So it's really your own judgment is too edgy. Fandom OC, my favorite fandom OC. Oh, I have made too many. I love them all. I give them all equal love. I love My Little Pony fandom. I created my OC on the front. I love that. I think that's just a cute one. How many OCs have I created? Probably about 30, 40, maybe, something like that. The hardest part of making a background story is sitting down and actually creating the background story. I like to, if I'm creating an OC for whatever fandom, the first thing I do is I research into that fandom. You don't want to write down who, what, where, when, why, how, and then start creating a fandom if there's already an established story there. So the research is important, and I would say that is the hardest thing to get right, because if you put your OC out there into the world, whether on DeviantArt, Picarto, or anything else that you want to use, you're always going to get the critics. And I think that's the hardest thing is receiving that critique, because some people are okay about it and some people, like, you see it on many fandoms, says, don't critique my OC. No, always critique, accept critique, because critique can make you grow. So I would say the hardest part is receiving that critique and also doing the research into the fandom, definitely. So definitely doing the, as I say, doing the receiving the critique is hard, but it's useful, especially if you get one that's really good, because if they tell you yes what's good and they tell you what's not so good, you can apply that. It's if you only receive good critique, how do you know you're not doing anything wrong? Do I ever base a backstory in real life or avoid it? I think we all do it with an OC. You kind of do incorporate elements of your own life into it. It's a natural thing to do, and it's a great way to start. And I always say that, if you are wanting to create, if you've never created an OC before, it's always good to look at real life to get that inspiration. Like I said with the child, look at how children play, look at how they interact with other people, look at the way that they ask questions to you, and that can really help you create this OC. So yeah, I'd say, basing it off real life is something that every person who creates OC does. Definitely worth doing that. Oh, now then, I've just seen a picture of Amalur. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Let's have a look. No, I'm in the wrong chat. So does anybody have any more questions at all? I think we're all good. I've just had my 15-minute warning. Well, I want to say thank you. I understand that this is not a norm. As I say, this is not a normal thing that we've done. Like I said, I'm more it sounds weird, but I'm more comfortable speaking on a stage than I am in my own home. So but I would want to say thank you so much for putting up with my rambling. I'm very humbled by the amount of people that, if you have taken something out of this, even if it's just a small chunk, that is very humbling to me. I will be available to ask. I will be online all the time. I say I will be online all evening, and I will be doing I am going to be doing a Picato live stream, a Picato stream in the gaming chat, just drawing later on in the evening, once I get the tent put up. And I'm also doing the kids quiz later on as well. But I just want to say thank you. If you've taken something from this, I really am humbled. I really, really am humbled. And I absolutely would love to see your OCs of pictures of Mr. Stick. If you want to feature Mr. Stick, I do not mind. You can have Mr. Stick. You can have Mr. Stick. I am happy to send any backstories from Mr. Stick. But yes, thank you, and massive, massive thank you for helping me. For doing this for me. I really do appreciate every single bit of it. But if you've got any further questions, I'll be on the next sort of 5 minutes or so. Anything else? Any other questions at all? Mr. Stick. Thank you. Yeah, everybody wants Mr. Stick. Well, I can flesh him out a bit more. I mean, I did basics for Mr. Stick, and I am happy to sort of work on him and flesh him out a little bit more if everybody wants him. What I might do is, okay, I can do that. I can do that tonight. I mean, what I can do, I can do I'll do an art stream, but I will actually also flesh out a picture of Mr. Stick properly. You need a Mr. Stick backstory. Okay, I shall do a Mr. Stick backstory. I've made OCs for 20 years. So I started when I was 16. So yeah, there you go. I've just given you my age. But yeah, we need a Mr. Stick backstory. I will do a Mr. Stick backstory, I promise. I tell you what, I will put it on. I'll put it on the forum. I'll have a word with Bex and see if we can get it on the forum. And then you guys can read the proper Mr. Stick backstory. I shall do a full Mr. Stick backstory for you all. Yeah. Who knew that such a very simple character that I probably sketched out in less than 30 seconds would get so much attention? I love Mr. Stick. But yes, I love Mr. Stick, I have to admit. But yeah, so it's yeah, the Mr. Stick backstory is awesome. So I'm gonna have him coming from Canterlot. He has obviously got his oh, hang on a minute. We have more artwork. I love artwork. Oh, this artwork's amazing. Oh my god, look at you guys welding your OCs. Artwork is incredible. I love your artwork of the OCs. They are absolutely incredible. In fact, I'm going to go back up the stream and just have a look through some of them. Crystal, yep, absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh, Prince Lionel, oh, amazing. Amor Fauna. Oh my god, look at this from Disney too for Prince Lionel. Oh my god, literally, guys, these are incredible. They really are. Donut Steel, absolute legend. So yeah, these are incredible, guys. Really, really good. And it's, again, it's not just the artwork. I know I'm sort of gushing over the artwork. It's the backstories as well that go with them. And only you know that backstory because it's in your head, unless you've written it down. But you know the backstories and you know how it fits. So it's great. Absolutely great. Oh, look at that. I love the way that you've incorporated like the forest theme and made it look more sort of like, made it look like wood, you know, like the horse, you know, make the fur look like leaves. I like that. That's very, very clever. That's using physical attributes again. Physical attributes on a pony doesn't need to say it's Earth, Pegasus, or anything else. You can actually change the fur. Yeah, I'm a tree. Yeah, I got that straight away. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So again, that can be incorporated in the backstory, and obviously you are using that backstory there. You know, the backstory could be that maybe he grew up in the forest, or I mean, certainly you wouldn't want him anywhere near fires. Yeah, I've seen that a few times. You know, he could have obviously grown up in the straight away. I could tell he's grown up in the forest sort of area or a country sort of area. That is really, really cool. He's a tree. Well, yeah, but I got that straight away. Part Timberwolf, perfect. So straight away, Timberwolf. That's another great OC sort of avenue you can go down. Why not create a Timberwolf OC? I'd love to see that. Ooh, a Timberwolf OC. Oh, wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, because yeah, that would be absolutely amazing. Oh yeah. So straight away you've got those amazing things. I've never made an OC for Warrior Cats. It's not one I've included. The OC that I showed you in there was an OC created by someone else who I redrew. And she created the backstory and I created the OC. So I created the OC I created the picture from her backstory. And it was just a nice, interesting collaboration, really. I did it because she was having a bad day and I decided to draw a nice picture of her. So she had this beautiful background, and I sort of got what she was over, and I sent her over that picture and she was gushing all over. It's like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. So yeah, so she was incredible, absolutely incredible. And yeah, so I keep going into the wrong chat here, but yeah, Timberwolf OC. Oh, that is tempting. A cockatrice OC might be quite cool as well. That's again another animal that not many people look into, but a cockatrice maybe goes rampant on Ponyville. That would actually be kind of cool. So you don't have to, when you're creating an OC, you don't have to create it for multiple you don't have to create it for multiple stories. You could create it maybe for one story. So like for Mary, I created her for one story, and like I said, I did kill her off, but she still had the same backstory as everybody else. Well, she had the same backstory. She had the same rules to make a backstory. which made her demise all the sadder. Oh, look at you. Yes. And oh, yes. I am seeing all these lovely pictures of OCs and I am literally gushing. Right. I have 5 minutes. I've just been given my 5-minute warning. So is there any other questions? No, I think we're all good. I didn't have an OC before this, but now a ton of ideas. Oh, an OC, Griffin OC in the Navy. Yeah. Oh, that would work. Oh, I could imagine that, because you could have like a, you know, like the aircraft carriers. You could have one of them with the Griffins on there. So they've got this landing pad that would work really nicely. Ursa Major. Yeah. Again, really underutilized character. So an Ursa Major OC, maybe in the past as well. Color ideas for hippogriffs. Work on the colors afterwards. I find that the colors, once you've got your backstory, your colors tend to work afterwards, because if you're creating quite a character that maybe lived in the dark, you wouldn't want a character that's quite bright. So just add work on the backstory first, then colors. Sea Pony OC, yep, absolutely. Sea Pony would be amazing. But yeah, a hippogriff a Griffin in the Navy. That would be amazing. That'd be so cool. Made hippogriffs, yep. Oh, that is great. Absolutely great. Lots and lots of amazing questions. Love it. Love it. Absolutely love it. So I like to work on the backstory first, because the backstory helps denote what the character's going to do and what's going to look like. I've always said that you don't need to be a great artist to have an OC. You don't need to have a design to have an OC. So the backstory, definitely I would work out first before I create the OC, because you might find there's elements in that backstory that may not work for your design. So you wouldn't want, let's say, a sea pony living in the desert. So yeah, definitely background story first and then the design fleshed out afterwards. Absolutely, definitely. Beautiful. So straight away, Griffins. I love Griffins. So this is just some of the ideas that I'm hoping that you will take away with. And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely perfect. So yeah, Ursa Major OC. Ooh, that's amazing. See, I just love these ideas. I just think they're amazing. And I just love the fact that you're thinking about the backstory as well, which, you know, it ties in beautifully. Really does. Oh, wow. Well, I really hope you guys will be staying with me. We're going to have a bit of a 5-minute break because you're going to see my mug again. Yay. I just need to change over the presentations because I am running the kids quiz. So it'll be kind of fun. Also, I need a little bit of a breather. But yes, I can explain why my OC designs and alternate forms my changeling makes. Now I really want a yak form. Yes, yak. I just love I love the simplistic way that they speak. I just love that. I think it's just incredible. But thank you. Yep, make it a wear pony. Love it. Make it a wear Timberwolf pony. Oh, that's amazing, guys. Absolutely amazing. Well, I think I've got 2 minutes. So thank you again. Absolutely. Thank you to every single one of you who stayed through this all. Really looking forward to seeing some of your amazing OCs. If you've got an OC, put it in the chat. You know, put it on, you know, just put it in your artwork, or if you've got a backstory, again, put it on the forum. I'd love to read them on the forum. That would be amazing. Oh, thank you for so much. And I think I'm going to get cut off in a minute, but thank you very, very much for everybody.